People come to me and say, James, I don't understand the analogies because, business and personal relationships are totally different. No, they're not. If we have baggage and if we have drama and if we have biases and whatever else, those things will impact the relationship. I tell people I'm a quote guy, and my absolute favorite quote goes like this: the most amazing people in this world are the ones that see the beauty in others. Instead of saying, oh, I look for what's wrong in other people, I look for what I can judge. Critical thinking is hard. This is why most people judge. I'm not interested in judging. I'm interested in taking people for who they are, not expecting anything, and I'm hoping they'll surprise me.
Hello there, and welcome to Skyman and a Bug. I'm the Bug, and that is
the Skyman.
We are here to build relationships, technology, and work on the many wonders of being a business owner and a nutcase. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to you listening to us, laughing with us, and taking the journey with us as we build businesses and relationships. What's up, everybody? This is EQ Roach, your Bug, and welcome to Skyman and a Bug. My co-host and partner in crime and goodness is Josh, the Skyman Sheminsky. So welcome again to another episode, another podcast where we get together, where the intersection of technology and relationship, and how do we navigate the complexity of life with simple terms. And this next guest, who I met ironically on LinkedIn, in really understanding relationship building and how to be able to navigate past all your accolades, all the great terms you use and all the slogans and all the jargon. Go past that and get really down to who you really are. And James Smith has, in his past, built networking and how to be able to reach people both from technology standpoint or across the room. And today he's going to show you with some pretty good tools of how to be able to navigate both electronically, how to meet somebody, but also when you network, so that you don't lead with, I do this, I'm awesome because I solve this problem, which nobody really cares about. They want to know, who are you and how do we build value in a relationship at a very humanistic level. So James, welcome to the team.
Thank you. It's great to be here, gentlemen.
Good morning, James.
Morning.
So, first question, out of the blue, where you at and what makes you awesome real quick? How's that?
I love it. Because I always say to people, I have two favorite words, awesome and rockstar. I don't do anything less. And I think that's really, I said, why not, right? It's the same with all my friends, my social circle. Unless I'm surrounded by people who think the same way, act the same way, then, you will not ever rise to a new level on a daily, weekly, monthly, or whatever the basis is. The thing for me, I started a new business, which really was just sort of following along with things I was doing in my community. And that is really teaching people how to become supremely confident. I tell people, look, it doesn't matter to me how introverted and everything. I'm telling you, this can change. And it's just a matter of following the patterns, the actions. And once you start finding your voice and you start to go, oh my God, like you realize people are just like you realize there's opportunity everywhere you look. And it's all in how we respond or react to things. So, for me, I decided that I would take my coaching of people and meld it with my love of AI and build those two together and go after the emerging leaders in AI. With such a huge blue ocean opportunity in AI right now, one of the challenges that I see is that people just can't articulate in a business outcomes way how a solution is going to solve a problem. So that and you even have to talk differently to each person's potentially in the room. So if you have a CEO, a CFO, they have different mandates, different ideas, different things that tell them this is how I'd measure a KPI, or this is what I would think is important to me and our company. So with this in mind, I tell people, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with you on an intensive basis and get you to become a rock star at this. That I don't want you to get caught up with the jargon. I don't want you to get out of these things that will not have any impact whatsoever. Now, what makes me awesome? I appreciate that question. I really do, because a lot of people struggle with this, and I'm a champion of people in my community. And I'm saying, yeah, every time they say, well, James, I'm trying to find a job, they say, send me a resume, send your latest copy, but I need 1 to 2 paragraphs of what makes you awesome. And this is the response I usually see. What? And you're like, and so you're like, well, let me help you through that. And or I said, I'll send you some information to coach you through a little bit of what that looks like and why this matters. As I said, listen, man, no matter whatever happens, whatever person you interact with, whether it's business or personal, what you need to do is get them to see that you're of value. And you have the first thing that's ever going to happen in any relationship, period, no matter if it's business or personal, is building trust. You must build trust because they will not buy from you. They won't believe in you. They won't work with you. They won't do all those different things unless they feel like, yeah, I like this person. And they subconsciously are thinking, I could trust this person.
So I wanted to go on that same token right quick before Josh jumps in and asks a question. Is in those first 30 seconds to a minute that you meet somebody, let's just get it very granular. What should the person do? I just met you in a networking event. I met you because you happen to be in the office. I just walked into a CEO, CFOs. I'm in wherever I am. What are the first things you need to do within the first 30 seconds to 2 minutes of that dialogue?
Yeah, get them to fall in love with you. Now, how do you do that?
Yeah.
So when you think about networking, for instance, and go with that because not everyone, let's say, is going to pitch to a C-suite or whatever, or maybe is not doing that right away. So I think of, okay, a lot of us, if not most of us, have gone networking in some way, shape, or form. Some of us, like myself, go all the time. But I tell people, I said, let me explain something to you. I said, unless you're memorable, why, did you create any kind of memorable moment? Why are you there? And I said, here's the thing. We often go into a networking event with a subconscious sort of thing that says, I'm looking for my next client. I'm looking for my next dollar. I'm, AKA it's all about me. And I said, here's the problem. More than 95% of the room is doing the same thing. And therefore, no one will remember you. And I said, think of Einstein's famous quote when he said, try not to be a person of riches and success, but rather a person of value. So I said, so how do I render value? Do I render value that, oh, I think I'm so valuable, I'm so awesome? Yeah, that's nice, as long as it doesn't come with arrogance, right? But I said, wouldn't it be great if you're seen as valuable? So I said, so how do you make that happen? I said, the greatest thing you can do when you interact with people, and this might sound crazy, and I'll explain, inspire people. And I said, the reason for this is because people never forget when they're inspired. We seem to think only select people are awesome. Like, for instance, say my 5th grade teacher or my English professor, my uncle, my whatever. And I said, okay, why are they awesome? Oh my God, they talk about all this kind of stuff. And then what do you really find out? Is that the person inspired them, or they pushed them outside their comfort zone, or they supported them, believed in them when others didn't. And I said, guess what? That all translates into they were inspired. And I said, did you know that every one of us can do this? It's not hard. All you need to do is when you walk up to people, you say, hey, it's really great to meet you, so-and-so. Let's say it's Josh in this case. It's Josh the Skyman. Love your name. It's great. What brings you to this event? Or, hey, I saw it on LinkedIn the other day that you guys just did this acquisition or whatever. Oh, my God, tell me more. Now I'm making it about them. And they start responding, and all of a sudden you think, oh, my God, this guy's just like me. And it starts to make things easier in a conversation. And guess what? When you lead with value, when you help people, when you care about them, and one of the number one areas that's a real problem, to be honest, and I don't mean to go on forever here, but one of the things that's a real problem is often you come to somebody and they might trust you enough to say, hey, James, great to see you, or great to see you again, or whatever it is, and say, I'm kind of going through a tough time, blah, 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 and whatever. And you're like, now, how do most people respond to that? That's an awkward moment because it's vulnerability, which is a power, not a weakness. So a lot of times people go, hey, how about those New York Knicks? They're playing great. Hey, anyway, I got to go. And that's what you're trying to do. You really want to sit with and say, you know what? It's like the fear in public speaking. It's like the fear with anything else. We make it about us. And I said, I want you to stop for a minute and say, no, I need to make it about them. They
So,
need
so
it.
I wanted to bring right there because this is the perfect segue into a situation.
Yeah.
And Josh and I was talking this morning, and it is when he was talking to a CEO. It was CEO to CEO conversation,
Yeah.
and I was almost invited to this event, but I told him, and he recognized it was not an event for me and him and the CEO to be in the moment. It was two CEOs, one younger than him, really going into. I don't want to mess it up, but Josh, you can kind of take it from there as to what you just said. Literally, when they told you, you don't have to go into the allegory
No,
details.
no.
What did that build in trust that transcended the business relationship? It was like, wow.
So, okay, I want to start backwards from what James said earlier. So, James, just wanted to make it clear, built business on red ocean, blue ocean. We found our niche, and that's how we built our business. So I love that book. It's a very inspiring book.
Yeah.
Second thing, sorry?
Be sure to share that with me. I'm not sure I've heard of it.
Red ocean, blue ocean?
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
so red ocean is where all the sharks lie. Blue ocean's where there's less competition. Blah blah blah. Find your niche. Make sure your business follows that niche and it can grow because no one else is in that water.
Okay.
Second point is when I go into a conversation, my old journalistic stuff kicks in. So I do two things. I ask vague general questions to try to get them talking. And two, I listen and observe the surroundings behind me and their body language because you learn a lot by observing first. And that's what you were trying to, I believe, get to is learn the person first. And then everything else would follow.
Yeah. 100%.
Third thing is before I get to Nikkei's thing, is you said you're a rock star. Who's your favorite rock band?
Oh my God, that's tough. Let me tell you quickly. You can see a picture of Miles Davis behind me, and this right here is part of my record collection.
Wow.
I'm a major music fan, and
Same here.
Yeah, like one of the groups that I've really enjoyed the last several years is Thievery Corporation. They are from Washington D.C. and they were two DJs who started off, and then they all of a sudden started. You guys look this up when you get a chance. They started melding like modern sort of dance and groove with sort of down tempo lounge jazz meets Persian music meets dub reggae meets like it's unbelievable.
I love it already because all
Yeah,
those
it's
genres
like
I love. So if
it's
you've
so good.
meshed
It's
them
so good.
together, it's like, wow.
Yeah, I think you really like them a lot, and they have done some solo projects on their own, especially Eric Hilton. But um, I'm a big Pink Floyd fan.
Love Pink Floyd.
Yeah, I saw them twice years ago, like many years ago, when Roger Waters was with the band, and then when he had left. Um, I like really everything, guys, and so I'm moved by the vibration and frequency and the feeling I get when I listen to music, because I'm also into the sonics of it. Not as much of an audiophile as some of my friends, but I have a pretty good turntable, and I'll be playing an opera recording of something, and people say, "Well, what are they singing? It's Latin, maybe it's Italian or whatever." And I say, "Yeah, it's not what it is. Listen to it, feel it." I said, "Oh my God, if this doesn't move you, I don't know. Like maybe you're dead, you know." But the truth is, the thing with music. I was listening to the Rolling Stones the other night, older Stones, when Brian Jones was in the band, when there were more blues. And I'm going, oh my God, this was so awesome. And I went through my little Black Sabbath phase when Ozzy passed away because I was a big fan. I actually met Ozzy at a show one time many, many years ago. But I'm into everything. And it's because I just enjoy the experience And sometimes when I have people over, I enjoy what they get out of it. I hope
So
that.
I'm going to extend an invitation for Labor Day of next year. So
Sure.
here in North Carolina is the John Coltrane Blues and Jazz Festival.
Oh, awesome.
I can get VIP tickets if you want to come. Be our guest. Nikki will be there because and come join us.
You
I
know what?
wanted I wanted to compliment you what you just said earlier, and hopefully Josh will tell the story that I was
I will.
leaning him to. But to the point that you said, I like a variety of music,
Yeah.
and it allows you, because you said it, to build value to the person. Because if you say a particular genre of music, or they say a particular genre of music, you can say, "Oh, I heard of that before. I love this particular guitarist, or I love this riff, or I love, Max Roach if I'm doing a quick drum session, or I'm gonna do Jimi Hendrix, circa Woodstock early in the morning when he was just fresh and he was rocking it, or anybody, Miles Davis when he was sober is what it is." But to be able to go into the mode of different versions, like, hey, I love this, I love ska, I love, these are different country, we you said it earlier, Patsy Cline. So you went from Patsy Cline to opera, and then you went from jazz to hip hop. So that's a variety, but it also allows you, when you're building a relationship with the person ahead of you, that yeah, I like this, but they might like something else. And then that builds that relationship. And that was what I was tying with Josh earlier was, being able to let the person be vulnerable in a protected space, understanding that confidentiality was with them. But the CEO sharing some traumatic events that most other people would have never learned, because they see somebody as, oh, they did this, they did that, they're on the cover, all those trappings, but it's not really that important. Those are just kind of, they come along for the ride, but it's the other stuff that comes out. Josh, you can tag in anytime.
So I'm gonna give two examples. One that Nikkei is talking about, and another one that happened like a month ago. So, I had a meeting with the CEO and related to them on a personal basis first, and built that relationship over time. Culminated with a great meeting that is going to bring us, a game-changing business. But it all happened because I looked at them as a human first, and they had a lot of, when we first met them, anger, and we thought it was towards us. It was not.
Right.
We learned that, through investing in the time and learning about the relationship, what all that was about. Now we have a great, business relationship, and I can call them a friend.
Right.
So that's the first one I wanted to reference. The second one is something James said earlier. Talking about like sports, something to bring someone in. So we had a prospect, a little bit south of where you are, James, and basically I related to them because of my background, and being from that area originally. So I got to talking with him over time and building a relationship, because eventually they're not a client right now. Eventually, I believe wholeheartedly that they're going to be a client. It might not be for 6 months, a year, but we have that. We're building that relationship plateau, and we're going to build more upon that.
Nice. That's great.
So
Go ahead.
James, a question I want to ask you is, and I don't want to sound so weird, but and this is going to be a little intentional, just a knee jerk. What was the absolute, and this is not a negative, dumbest thing you've ever seen somebody do coming into a networking event?
Oh, well, and bless her heart.
From the
She's,
South, because when you say bless your heart, that's like,
she's a well-meaning person, and you know, she would go to events, and she was working in financial advisement, and she would bring her pamphlets with her and all her stuff, and all she's doing is running around the room and going, "Oh, here you go," and shoving it in people's faces, and you're like, I'm coming to her and saying, "Hey, look, building relationship with her," but I'm going, "Please, please listen when I tell you this." And I said, "No one likes to be sold to." And I said, "Get to know people." They said, if you want to be trusted to actually handle, recommend, advise on financial solutions for people, the way to go about doing that isn't just to hand out a pamphlet. And then for some reason you seem to think it's like, I was speaking at an event, I remember years ago, and I knew a lot of people in the room, and I said, let's pretend for a moment and nobody knows me. I walk into the room, I walk up to you and I do the typical, "Hi, Josh," because look at your name tag. And I do this robotically because that's how I feel about it. And I say, "Hi, what do you do?" Now what am I waiting for? I'm waiting for a label. I'm waiting for something that says, are you a client, potential client or not? Let's be honest. That's what a lot of them do. And I said, it's transactional relationships, which work about 1% of the time, if you're lucky. But the truth of the matter is I say to people, I said, "Oh my God, this person's a lawyer," for instance. Let's say that's my ideal client, my ICP. And like, okay, so I said, "Okay, are we going to do business together?" People say, "No." "What? We're not. Why?" "Well, they don't know and trust you." What's that second word? Trust. How's that established? Yeah, a relationship. It's not going to come on just that first bang or shoving something in someone's face. And they're thinking like, whoa, there's an assumption I think we make. And touching on what Josh was talking a bit ago, we can often go into a room or meet somebody in an event and we start thinking certain things about them right away. I do the same thing because I am a huge connector in my community. And people say, "Oh my God, James, can I introduce you to somebody because I know you could really help them." And then they say, "Oh, let me tell you a little bit about it." I say, "Don't tell me anything about it. Just introduce me." And they're like, "Why?" Because, and I'm not saying I'll do this, but I don't want in any way, shape, or form be influenced on first meeting the person. I want to take them for who they are. I'm writing a book right now about networking, about my way of doing it. I've devoted a whole chapter on emotional intelligence because of how important it is. But I tell people, please stop expecting things of others. And I said, that's the number one reason we get down. I'll give you the perfect analogy, even though it's not business, personal. Like, I'm a single guy. Let's suppose I want to date some woman. And what am I selling? That's right, myself. And I said, now, when I start going to date, let's say everything's going really great, really great. Guess what? Often what happens in the mind of us when we're in these situations, I don't do this, but it does happen, is where people start thinking, oh my God, they're already thinking ahead. Oh, wait till I hold her hand, till I can kiss her, to this, to that, to this, to that. And you're like, and then it doesn't happen. Now what? Well, we feel really bummed out. We get ticked off even or whatever. And I'm going, dude, you have no idea where she's coming from right now. You don't even know anything about her. So you're just assuming that you can have a relationship or in business. Sometimes people come to me and say, "James, I don't understand the analogies because, business and personal relationships are totally different." No, they're not. And they say, "Why?" Because we're there. And I said, and if we have baggage, and if we have drama, and if we have biases and whatever else, those things will impact the relationship. I tell
correct.
people I'm a quote guy, and my absolute favorite quote goes like this: the most amazing people in this world are the ones that see the beauty in others. And then when, instead of saying, "Oh, I look for what's wrong in other people," I look for what I can judge. And I said, like, Carl Jung said that many, many years ago, that critical thinking is hard. This is why most people judge. And that's very true. And so I said, I'm not interested in judging. I'm interested in taking people for who they are, not expecting anything. And I'm hoping they'll surprise me. And, because I've often said to people, even in events, I said, have you ever left a group of people, whether it's 5, 10 or more, and felt absolutely exhausted? And people said, "Oh, yeah, yeah, all the time." "Yeah, you're with the wrong people." And I said, so he said, you have to be around where there's a value exchange. Because if you keep on giving, this reminds me of another quote that says, when you're a giver, please learn your limits because the takers don't have any. And they'll keep taking and taking, and you'll be exhausted. It's like a bank account where people just keep drawing money out. They never put any in. And you're like, hello, there's nothing left here. I'm exhausted, right? So in relationships and business wise, even if it's a CEO or someone at high level, we often go in with a certain attitude like, oh, this person's going to be, all business and whatever. No, they're still a human being. And the only way you're going to get them to love you is if they can see the human part. Especially in AI, this is a tremendous opportunity to separate yourself. They said, because when I was speaking at an annual general meeting recently, I said to people, just remember that, at least for the time being anyway, AI will not command a room. It will not do those moments where you can take a client and buy those like white glove thing and say, hey, I understand there's been a problem here. Let me personally deal with this for you. I mean, people love that because they like to be felt like they're important, you see. But as Josh was saying a minute ago, I made a very good point. And Nika, you were talking about it too. It's like vanity related stuff where people are often caught up in one-dimensional stuff and about the likes, the this, the that, the very transactional, surface level way of engagement. And I'm not interested in that. And I said, can I share something else with you guys quickly? Would that be okay?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
no.
Thank you. Thank you. Connecting. Okay, let's talk about connecting people. This is something I talk about all the time because a lot of people, I appreciate when anybody makes the effort to connect people because most people don't do it. And it's really a shame. But that's often surface level too. So I'll give you an example. They look at the what, not the why. They're not doing, as Josh was talking about, paying attention to a person's body language. They're not thinking about the way they talk. When people talk to me, you know what goes through my mind as I'm listening to them is this. Who do I know right now that would benefit from knowing this person? That's what I'm thinking. Like I'm connected to tons of people and I want to introduce them. What often happens though is let's suppose, Nika, I introduce you to somebody, which I would be happy to do any day of the week. And they come back and they go, oh my God, James, I met your friend. This guy's so awesome, blah, blah, blah. Both. Oh, and then I met Josh too. And oh my God, I love these guys. They're so I'm going to do all kinds of great stuff together, blah, blah, blah. They're so excited. And then he said, and I'm sitting there listening and I say, thanks for coming back. I really appreciate it. By the way, don't take this the wrong way, but you're kind of preaching to the choir. And they say, what do you mean? I said, I already knew the guy. Those guys were awesome. And they're going, oh. And I said, now, here's the question that really matters. You ready? And they say, yeah. Did you tell these gentlemen exactly what you told me? Or some reasonable facsimile. And usually, what do you get? Well, not quite. Why? Why didn't we do that? And they said, the reason why, you see, and I hate to say this because I don't want to say this is what we often do when we're networking. It's take, take, take. I need to be inspired. I want to sell you something. It's all about me. And we do this with everything. And a lot of times we just don't realize it. And I'm telling people, please develop your mindfulness and awareness and start to walk the journey of others. And if you don't know what that looks like, here's a novel idea. You ready? Ask. It's not hard, right?
So you talk about walking. Well, walking is how Nika and I built our relationship. Literally walking.
Literally.
Yeah. And 2 years later, we were ready to be business partners. Took 2 years though.
Well, it took 2 years because we both had to learn each other and
right. That's why it took 2 years.
Exactly. Yeah. So if somebody says, so how did you start your business? Blah, 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 on the walk. So I wanted to, because you took some time out of your busy, schedule and to let us see the background of your vinyl collection. Because I was like, most people don't have that. So awesomeness. I want to now introduce you to our listeners. How does a listener reach out to you to start this conversation, helping them in what they want or what they think they want, and how do they get in contact with you? So I guess that's really what I'm asking. Is like, hey, you're awesome, you're amazing, you're a rock star. You and I, we've had conversations over and over and over, but other people want to learn that as well. How do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, and by the way, Josh, in case you didn't know, a lot of times when I see Nike's posts on LinkedIn, I often put like #Rockstar. I say like because it's always great, and it's what's with you guys. It's different. That's really great. Is you really do bring the human into what you do, and you lead with your heart. And that is absolutely beautiful. And never should be ever, that's the way it should always be done. Anyway, I live on LinkedIn. No word of a lie. I think Nikkei already knows that. And the reason why is, first of all, it's virtual networking. So sign me up. And do I think the platform could be better? Yeah. But, at the same time, it's been great. Like, I do have a big network, but I always make time for people. And it's the same as I make time for you guys because I know you matter and because you're important to me and because you always provide value every time I interact. And besides, I always tell people, unless you're willing to have conversations with complete strangers, you will never know the amazing people that could be in your life. Period. And yet we're constantly just thinking, I'll give you examples of LinkedIn, by the way. People will sometimes say things like this. They'll say, "Oh, James, I appreciate the outreach. I really only connect with people I know on LinkedIn." I'm like, "What?" I don't say that, but I said, "So the next time you're at an in-person networking event, I only want you to talk to people you know." And
Oh,
why would I do that? Exactly.
Preach.
Yeah. And you're like, I get it that they don't like it. It's maybe treated like a club. And then you look at people's profiles and you get a person who was like, I was at an event speaking one time and we had a screen that I brought in back when I worked in IT. And this person says, "Can you bring my name up on LinkedIn?" And this is one of the few people in the room I didn't know. And I bring up his name. I look at his profile and said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Everybody, please pay attention when I ask this. Are you looking for a job?" "No." "Well, that's funny because your profile looks like your resume." And they're like, "Oh, I never." You see, because they don't really use it. I get it. Then you get the other people who have 65 degrees beside their name, MBA, whatever. And hey, that's great. That's wonderful. And I tell people, please do not take this as disrespect. But other than your mother, nobody cares. And I said, the reason why, I'm just being.
Oh, no, I'm laughing because I'm totally in agreement to that.
Yeah. I say to people, please write a customer-centric profile. Because I'm sorry, but this is the way we do as humans. They want to know, what are you going to do for me? That's what they want to know. And so answer that question. Share a story. Personalize it. Get them to see you're so much more than the last person is. The same with posts. A lot of posts is just, we do this, whatever. It reminds me of Simon Sinek's famous Circle of Trust TED Talk, where he was talking about the what, the how, and hardly anybody talks about the why. Please be the why. Be the difference, right?
So we actually had a discussion about this morning, bright and early first thing, and Nikkei reminded me, what our purpose is, and our purpose is to give people back time from their business.
Yeah, I love it.
And that seems so mundane, and it seems so matter of fact. And when you doing the minutia of work, and I say that intentionally, you forget about the why and the stories that we hear of, oh, you took away these 10 hours, 20 hours, 100 hours out of our company so that our team can go home and be the mothers, the fathers, the sisters, the spouses, all that different things that we do outside of work, because they're not stuck here doing these mundane tasks, that it can be automated. And that's the why. The why is so that we can see you out in public doing amazing things. Your job can be your platform, but there's other things that you can do in the community because you have the time to devote to the next generation, to the older generation, to the mid generation, in things that matter in their community. And I really appreciate you being here, James, and of course, the Skyman. And you have been listening, of course, to Skyman and the Bug here at your favorite podcast station. I appreciate everybody being here and listening and supporting our podcast going forward. If you have questions or comments, please, you can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn. There's a telephone number out there. There's a website somewhere floating around. Josh Sheminsky and Nikkei Roach, those two names together are easy to find on LinkedIn. That's kind of weird. It's not like John. I'm sorry, James. Your name is so common. There's probably 1,000 of you out there. Okay?
Yeah, per square meter.
Per square meter. You probably got a couple couple of James Smith in your neighborhood that you didn't even know. But to that, I really appreciate you being here today and sharing, your evolution and how you see giving people those tools and those ideas and those mindsets to shift the focus away from you and to the person who has that genius in front of you, who's the rock star, and you want to pay attention to that rock star because you may be, like you said, frankly surprised by how innovative they are outside of what their title says, lawyer, CFO, whatever that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much. I'll see you on another episode of Skyman and the Bug. Josh, you will say something.
Yes, James, rock on.
Thank you. I will, guaranteed.
All right. See you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You've been listening to
The Skyman
and the Bug. We appreciate you being here. Join us again for another episode of Skyman and the Bug. And if you have any questions, reach out to us either on LinkedIn, Facebook, and other places that you just try to find us.
Take care.
Bye.